What would happen if the Earth's axis of rotation abruptly swung the other way? This catastrophic catastrophe would spell disaster for our world through a number of repercussions, including those on the climate, geology, oceans, and humans. But before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. If the Earth's rotation were to suddenly stop, the planet would immediately reverse its direction of rotation from west to east, which would be followed by a quick acceleration in the opposite direction. This would be the first immediate consequence. This enormous shift would have significant and potentially catastrophic repercussions on the atmospheric and meteorological systems of our planet. Within a matter of hours, regions that were accustomed to relatively mild westerly breezes would be thrown into turmoil, as they would now be confronted by the furious and supersonic easterly winds, which might reach speeds of up to 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. The sheer forces that would come from this sudden change in the direction of the wind would be disastrous for existing weather systems. Under the influence of these high forces, weather systems, which generally cover only a few hundred kilometers, would immediately fall apart. Small-scale low-pressure zones and high-pressure ridges, which meteorologists frequently see and utilize for weather forecasting, would combine to form enormous circulation cells that might possibly cover at least half of the Earth's surface. These enormous circulation cells would throw present weather patterns into disarray and bring about previously unheard of and unpredictable climatic conditions across the globe. The repercussions of such a dramatic change in the direction in which the Earth rotates would stretch well beyond the scope of the world of the atmosphere. The seismic activity that was produced by the sudden change in the rotational forces could lead to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis, all of which are extremely destructive. The geography of the Earth would also be drastically affected as tectonic plates adapted to the new forces that were at play, which would make natural disasters much worse. The wind speeds inland would rise well past 1,000 kilometers per hour, which would be faster than any storm ever recorded. At these speeds, very little would be able to withstand the intensity of the cyclone and remain standing in its path. Forests and other constructions that did not have sufficiently deep foundations would fall like matchsticks. The storm would uproot trees by the millions, turning them into high-velocity projectiles that would further level the few remaining buildings. When torn away, materials such as glass, siding, and roofing would convert into dangerous shrapnel. Even within vehicles or basements that are regarded to be shelters, the wind blast alone may produce blast-like overpressures, which can cause eardrums to explode, lungs to collapse, and cause internal bleeding. Offshore, currents that are currently moving toward the east and generating climate patterns throughout the world's coastlines, such as the Gulf Stream, would stop moving in that direction almost quickly. Within a few days, Western Europe may come to resemble Alaska as it is today, minus the advantages provided by trailing marine thermal inertia. Both croplands and aquifers could experience a destabilizing shift in their respective precipitation patterns on roughly the same periods. There is no doubt that other climate zones, ranging from the Midwest of the United States to Asia and Australia, are subject to extreme temperature variations that are impossible for species to foresee. In all of recorded history, nature has never seen conditions quite so abrupt and foreign. The damage to the world's biodiversity looks to be on a scale that is unfathomable large. While violent winds dominate the upper atmosphere, disturbances in the lower lithosphere provide an equally formidable hazard. The progression of plate tectonics occurs as a result of stresses being gradually released by earthquakes over the course of centuries. Suddenly changing the frequency of the planet's rotation would introduce an entirely new set of stressors all at once. It is conceivable that fault zones may react catastrophically with seismic occurrences that are significantly stronger than any that are known. It is possible that megathrust earthquakes, which are unusual now, will become more common. It is possible for entire tectonic plates to become unstable, which would in turn give rise to highly active volcanic zones and produce tsunamis that exceed any previous records. When faster spinning land meets slower spinning waters, land dangers become more severe. Extreme storm surges can occur along coastlines, with wave heights perhaps reaching hundreds of meters when they crash up against cliffs and estuaries. Inundations that span many kilometers will assure that no coastal features will survive. This includes low-lying cities such as Shanghai, New York, and Mumbai, which are home to hundreds of millions of people. Worse, The churning of the waters ensures additional torques, which increases the chance that continental margins and seamount chains tied to them will break loose entirely. It would appear that a reconfiguration of coasts on a scale that would affect entire drainage patterns and boundaries is unavoidable. Oceanic temperature trends are dependent on wind-driven surface circulation, which transports equatorial warmth poleward. The overnight reversal of wind belts suggests that cold Arctic waters will flood the tropics, while tropic waters will surge into the subarctic and polar seas. Because of rapid changes in water temperature that exceed what can be tolerated by biological systems, marine life in both hemispheres is in danger of being dispersed and starving. The demise of historically significant fisheries occurs almost instantly. The effects will ripple out and cause havoc over the entirety of the ocean's food webs. The ocean acidification that has been steadily getting worse for ages might suddenly speed up. Coral reefs would die out almost everywhere on the planet, depriving coastal areas of essential protection from storms. On land, there is no wildness that will provide protection from the impending apocalypse. The multi-gigaton dust clouds that are being carried aloft by the hypercyclones are expected to block out the sun for several months everywhere in the world. The current record-breaking flames will become immensely more catastrophic if there is no hope of intervention, but the global cooling could rival the impacts of previous winter disasters. The infrastructure that billions of people rely on is squarely in the line of fire of translation and inertia effects, which poses a threat to humanity as a whole. Loss of vital resources such as energy, water, transportation, and communication, which are essential to dense populations. In regions plagued by ineffective governance, chaos and lawlessness tend to dominate, creating an environment fraught with uncertainty and danger. Unfortunately, finding refuge from this pervasive disorder seems nearly impossible, as there are no secure enclaves to shield against its all-encompassing reach. Catastrophic surges, of a magnitude impossible to survive, mercilessly claim the lives of tens, if not hundreds, of millions of people within mere hours of striking coastal regions. Even those who attempt to seek shelter in evacuated structures find little solace, as these buildings crumble in the face of the relentless force of hyper winds, collapsing much like tornadoes of protracted intensity. These dire circumstances, reminiscent of a perpetual dark age, are exacerbated by the failure of just-in-time agriculture methods. This failure has led to a planet whose carrying capacity falls significantly short of its current population. In the absence of rapid depopulation triggered by conflicts, pandemics, or famine, it becomes exceedingly challenging to envision a scenario where population growth can resume for many generations, assuming humanity endures it all. This grim tableau paints a stark reality that underscores the critical importance of effective governance, comprehensive disaster preparedness, and the adoption of sustainable agricultural practices. Without concerted efforts to address these challenges, the consequences of our collective actions could propel humanity into a precarious future where the very prospect of survival becomes daunting, and the path to recovery extends over centuries if it proves attainable at all. The urgent need for global cooperation and innovative solutions to prevent such a bleak outcome cannot be overstated. It is a stark reminder that the fate of our world hangs in the balance, contingent on the choices we make today to safeguard its future. A reversal of the Earth's rotation would, in a nutshell, be the single most destabilizing event that could ever take place. It would wipe out civilization and put sophisticated life across the biosphere in jeopardy. Even though this scenario is hypothetical, it is important to understand the extent of the potential repercussions because it serves as a sobering reminder of humanity's profound interconnection with natural systems, which we are just starting to appreciate. Even slow changes in the environment pose a threat to the stability of societies. Rapid changes raise the possibility that our planet may no longer be recognized. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.